to question it. He just lay down and fell fast asleep. I must find the owners and thank them, thought Pierre when he woke. He set out to search the castle. Invisible hands opened all the doors, but he couldn't find a single living person anywhere. Perhaps everyone's outside, he wondered. In the garden, he found a beautiful rose bush. As he sniffed the blooms, he remembered his promise to Beauty. The instant Pierre plucked a rose, a huge shadow fell over the rose bushes. He spun around, clutching the flower to his chest. A hideous creature stood before him. "How dare you steal from the beast?" roared the creature. "I gave you food and shelter, and this is how you repay me. Thief, you'll pay with your life." "I'm so sorry," said Pierre. "I just wanted a rose for Beauty, for my daughter." "A daughter? I'll let you live if you send her to me," the beast declared. "If she refuses, you must return in a week." "I can't risk Beauty's life," Pierre thought with a heavy heart. He told the beast he would return. Before Pierre left, the beast gave him a ruby bridle for his horse. "He'll be able to find his way to your home and back," said the beast. "The bridle will guide him." Pierre returned safely home, but as the week passed, he grew pale. "What's wrong, father?" Beauty wanted to know. "Nothing," he replied. "Please don't worry about me." That night, Beauty thought she heard him crying. She found him asleep at his desk the next morning with a letter in front of him. She picked it up and started to read. "Dearest daughters, when you read this letter, I will have left you forever. I took a rose from the garden of a monstrous beast, and he has sworn to kill me unless I bring him my youngest daughter. I could never do that to you, Beauty, so I have gone in your place. Farewell, your loving father." "Oh no," cried Beauty, "this is all my fault." Looking out of the window, Beauty saw her father's horse saddled up, ready to go. She knew what she had to do. Quickly and quietly, she scribbled a note for him and set off for the castle. "Dear father, I have gone to the beast's castle instead of you. All my love, Beauty." Her father's horse seemed to know the way. He galloped down the twisting paths as if guided by a magic force. As the beast's castle came into view, Beauty gripped the reins in fear. She stopped at the castle gates and tiptoed into a sweet-smelling garden, but as soon as she stepped into the sunlight, she heard a terrible growl. "Who are you?" roared the beast. "I'm Beauty, Pierre's daughter," she stammered out. "He sent you to die, did he?" the beast growled. "Coward! Don't say that," said Beauty angrily. "You have courage," said the beast, gazing back at her. As he spoke, Beauty was shocked to see great tears forming in his eyes. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Having you here makes me realize I've been alone for so long," he sniffed. "Poor beast," said Beauty, her heart filling with pity. "I'll stay with you if you like." The beast grasped her hand, his eyes shining with hope. "Thank you," he said. "But you must let my father know I'm safe." That evening, Beauty and the beast dined together. The beast looked at Beauty very seriously, then knelt down before her. "Will you marry me?" he asked. "I can't," gasped Beauty. "I don't even know you." "Very well," said the beast. He led her to her room and wished her good night. Beauty dreamed of home and woke wishing she was there. As she dressed, she saw a mirror by her bed. Peering into it, she was amazed to see her father back at home. Seeing him safe and well lifted her spirits. It's time to explore, she decided. When Beauty went out into the garden, she saw exotic flowers and magical animals. At 8 o'clock, a gong rang for dinner. The Beast was waiting for Beauty in the dining room. "Did you find the mirror?" he asked eagerly. "I loved it, thank you," Beauty replied. After dinner, the Beast went down on one knee again. Beauty sighed. "Beast, you're very kind, but I don't want to marry you." "I thought that might be the answer," said the Beast sadly. That night, Beauty had a strange dream. She was dining with a handsome prince. "How can you bear to look at that ugly beast?" he asked. "He's not ugly inside," said Beauty. "But he's a monster," said the prince. Beauty awoke to the sound of birds singing. The prince had vanished. She spent the day wandering through empty rooms, glancing up at a portrait. She couldn't believe her eyes. It was the prince from her dream. At dinner that evening, she told the Beast about the mysterious prince. "Do you know who he is?" she asked. "I know him," replied the Beast, "but I haven't seen him for years." They sat at the table in silence. "What's the matter?" the Beast asked eventually, with a worried frown. "I'm homesick," said Beauty. The Beast pulled a ring from his pocket. "Oh, Beast, I still won't marry you," she said quickly. The Beast shook his head. "This isn't a wedding ring. It's magic. It will take you back to your father, but you must promise me you'll return in 2 weeks." "I promise," said Beauty happily. "Oh, thank you, Beast. Wear the ring on your finger, then when you're ready to return, just take it off again." Beauty nodded. She put on the ring and the room melted away. She felt herself falling, until suddenly she was back at home and her father was staring at her open-mouthed. Beauty's father was overjoyed to see her, unlike her sisters. When they heard her story about the Beast, they hatched a secret plan. "If we make her stay longer, the Beast will be angry. With any luck, he might even eat her," said Marie slyly. "And with Beauty gone, we'll have father's fortune all to ourselves," added Sophie. The 2 weeks flew by, but Beauty kept thinking of the Beast. When the time came for her to leave, her sisters burst out crying. "We can't live without you," they howled. "If you loved us, you'd stay." Reluctantly, Beauty stayed until one night she dreamed she saw the Beast lying in his garden under a rose bush. Beauty woke with a start. Something's wrong, she realised. I must go to him. Quickly, Beauty took off the ring. The next instant, a cloud of swirling smoke surrounded her and she vanished. Beauty was back in the garden. The Beast was lying under the rose bush, just as in her dream. "Is that you, Beauty?" he asked. "I'm dying." "No," cried Beauty, horrified. She stroked his velvety face and kissed him. "You can't die. Please, Beast, I love you." There was a blinding flash. A handsome prince was kneeling before her. "You're in my dream, and in the painting," cried Beauty. Beauty and the Prince were married the next day in a church filled with roses. All of Beauty's family came to the wedding. Her father looked on proudly, but her sisters left early in bad tempers. Why does she get to marry a prince? They complained. It's not fair. Life isn't fair, said a tiny voice. It was the fairy who had set a curse on the prince. Your sister broke my spell, she said, but at least I can give you exactly what you deserve. As you have hearts of stone, the fairy declared, that's what you'll be, forever. Then, feeling much better, she flew off to steal some wedding cake. Dragon Painter. High up in the mountains there lived a great painter called Chang. Everyone loved Chang's beautiful pictures. They were so lifelike that people came from all over China to see them. Chang painted misty landscapes and vases full of flowers, but his animal pictures were best of all. His butterflies and birds really seemed alive, and you could almost see his rabbits twitch their noses. Chang's pictures soon became famous all over the country. One day the Emperor of China heard about them. Now the Emperor needed someone to decorate his new temple. I shall ask Chang, he decided. Chang planned a splendid picture for the temple. On the first wall he drew a pearl white dragon. It had long pointed horns and long curved claws. The dragon breathed out huge clouds of steam. It looked perfect except for one thing. The dragon had no eyes. The second dragon was jade green. It had a fierce face with bushy eyebrows, jagged teeth, and a big spiky nose. But the green dragon's eyes were empty too. On the third wall, Chang painted a glimmering gold dragon. He gave it a long, coiled tail, curling around its body. The gold dragon was nearly complete, but it didn't have any eyes either. The fourth and final dragon had a twisting body with gleaming red scales and wicked claws. The red dragon had a terrifying face, but just like the others, its eyes were empty. Chang turned to the Emperor and bowed. Do you like the dragons, my lord? I do, replied the Emperor. They're magnificent. There's just one problem. You haven't finished the eyes. I can't paint their eyes, said Chang. Dragons are magical creatures. If I paint their eyes, they'll come to life. Stuff and nonsense, the Emperor snapped. I order you to finish these dragons at once. I can't, cried Chang, but it was no good. He had to obey the Emperor. With a wobbly hand, he painted the eyes on the first dragon. There was a rumble of thunder, and the sky grew dark. Chang paused. Get on with it, roared the Emperor. So he did. Just as Chang finished, a bolt of lightning split open the temple.